Rumor has it that Silencer from Black Salt Audio could be a contender for best drum gate plugin, and with endorsements from the likes of Andy Sneap and Sam Guiana, it looks like this could be quite promising. Today we're going to put it through its paces and see if it lives up to all the hype or if it's just another so-so gate hiding behind a fancy interface. And before we dive into Silencer, if you enjoy this video, consider making your next gear purchase through my Sweetwater affiliate link in the description down below. It goes a long way in helping the channel, so I can make more unbiased reviews like this one for you. Anyway, let's throw Silencer onto a snare track so we can walk through the interface and get some initial impressions on the sound of this thing. First, here's the snare track without Silencer. So yeah, lots of cymbal bleed. Now let's turn Silencer on, adjust the threshold, and see how it sounds with just the default settings. Wow, that's pretty darn good for not tweaking anything yet. Now let's run through the controls to see what we can do to make it even better. First, at the top here, you've got your instrument selection. You just choose whether you're getting a kick, snare top, snare bottom, or tom. I think what this is doing is adjusting the sidechain filters for better detection. For instance, if you've got snare selected, it's probably filtering out the low end so that the kick hits are less likely to trigger the gate. It doesn't seem to be doing any kind of smart detection or whatever like Oxford Drum Gate or Cymbal Smart Gate do, but you usually only need that kind of thing for extra difficult tracks. So most of the time, this should be just fine. The instrument selection also seems to be adjusting some time and frequency settings in the debleeder, but we'll get to that in a bit. So once you've got your drum selected, you can move on down to the gate's controls. If we turn the debleed knob all the way down, this will act just like a normal gate, with the reduction knob controlling how much bleed you're cutting out between hits, and the length knob controlling how long the gate stays open. But the debleed knob is really where the magic of this plugin lies. It basically turns Silencer into a dual band gate. The more you turn it up, the more high frequency reduction you get, and the faster the release gets, just for the high frequencies. This way, it cuts out a lot more of the harsh cymbal frequencies than a traditional gate, while still allowing the low end of the drum to ring out a bit, leading to a much more natural sound. Let's hear it in action. On this particular snare, I ended up liking it pretty darn close to the default position, and I kind of feel like that's a major strength of this plugin. It just kind of works. It doesn't have a ton of control over all the parameters, like you can't adjust the frequency crossover point for the high frequency reduction, for example. It's just baked into the drum selection preset. But the guys at Black Salt Audio seem to have done a really good job of dialing in all that stuff under the hood so that it just works the majority of the time. In my testing so far, there have been a couple times I wish I had a little more control, and that's where something like Oxford Drum Gate really shines. But again, most of the time, this will do what you need it to do, and it'll do it fast. Then one more clever feature they added was this ghost knob. It basically just drops the threshold way down when you have it pressed, so that ghost notes and fills that would normally get cut out come through. The idea is that you can automate this button on each time you've got a ghost note or a hit that's too quiet to open the gate. Let's see it in action. I've got this fill here, and with the current settings, the beginning of the fill is getting cut off. So we'll just automate that button for the fill. And just like that, it's all better. Next I tested Silencer on toms, and this is where I ran into a little bit of trouble. This particular track has a lot of snare drum in the tom mics, and if I have the threshold low enough to catch all the tom hits, a bunch of snare hits sneak through as well. Take a listen. Now this is where some of the smart detect features in Oxford Drum Gate or Cymbal Smart Gate would really come in handy, or even just having control over the sidechain filters. If Silencer was all I had working on this track, I'd need to do quite a bit of manual editing on these toms. But this is a somewhat extreme example, and in most of the tom tracks I tried Silencer on, it did fine with only a very occasional mistrigger. Alright, so what are my final thoughts on Silencer? I think it's a really good gate plugin with a handful of clever features, and if you're the type of person who hates tweaking a ton of controls and just wants something that works right away, this is probably the gate for you. On the other hand, if you really want the ultimate control over your gate settings, or if you frequently find yourself dealing with exceptionally bad bleed, you might want to skip this one and look at something like Oxford Drum Gate from Sonox. Speaking of which, you can check out my full review of Drum Gate here if you want to learn more about that one. Otherwise, there's a link to Silencer in the description down below if you want to try that out for yourself. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.